Hi, good afternoon or good evening or good morning, whatever time of day it is. I hope it's a happy one and that you are looking forward to this. Is my second lecture in week one. The first one was teaching methodologies, and that's all on the Emory ECI site for you. Today we're going to be interrogating TEFFS because this is the cornerstone of education in South Africa. It's our new policy, curriculum assessment and policy statement, which is the guideline and treasure chest for all teachers, because it tells them exactly what to do per subject and how they should do it. In case you haven't seen my welcome video, where I tell you who I am and introduce the subject and myself, otherwise you can always go back and watch it. But in case you haven't got that, let me introduce myself. My name is Dr. Marcel Herron, and I'm always available at my email address, marcelh@emory.ac.za. So if you've got a query or a concern or something you're happy with, you can let me know and mail me there. I can always get back to you very easily. So as I say on the slide as well, that learning is fun. I'm going to add that also is magical. It can change people, it can change lives, it can make people a different, give them hopes, aspirations. So this is what is needed in the world. And I want to just follow on with this by looking at what our wonderful Nelson Mandela said, who I really admire as a person who was a visionary and could see what education can do for people. And he said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. What wonderful words. So what I'm doing, I'm challenging you to say, let's change the world with our English teaching classrooms. Let's change the minds of children. Let's create learners who are adventurous, who are ready to take on the 21st century, and they've got communication skills to do all of this in a way that is going to make the world a wonderful place. Okay, so let's get back to our prescribed readings. This is also in my previous slides. You can see the most important thing is actually the TEFFS document, especially which you can download from any of the sites on Google. So you can Google TEFFS document and your subject, the phase that you're going to be looking at, and there you will find the TEFFS document which you can download. If you cannot find it, let me know and I can see if I can upload it onto the Moodle site. Also, Ferreira is our other text. If you have a look here. There it is, and a Ferreira teaching language. I use this quite a lot for the teaching methodologies previous lecture, which I would really suggest you get. It is the recommended, the prescribed reading. And the one that I'm using today is this one by Arkeline, Teaching Strategies, especially chapter 1, which gives you a wonderful understanding of how the TEFFS document is divided, how it's classified, what information has got in it. So it is really something that's going to help you to answer activity 1 with the information it provides there as well. So I would really recommend this as well. A wonderful text to have. So this is the lecture outline. You can see it's all relating to the TEFFS document, right from its onset, where we were before 1994, and how it has developed, areas that it's looked into, the findings, recommendations, the challenges, the progress, future plans, and then we're going to end with our task 1 activity. Right, so let's go back to our education system before 1994, which was our first democratic election in South Africa. What was it like? Well, if you can remember that far back, I think many of you weren't even born then, but we had 13 different departments of education, all very, very different. Each different race, all races had their own education department. So there was one for Indians, for coloureds, for blacks, for whites, and all of them were treated unequally with unequal outputs as well. So it was a racially differentiated system before 1994. With the democratic election in 1994, this all had to change. So from 1994 to 1999, was a period of reconstructing and reorganizing the education system here in South Africa. And in particular, they looked at policy reform to de-racialize the schools and the systems and their structures. There would be a new curriculum to replace the old apartheid ideology, which was part of the curriculum previously. New funding norms, so unequal race criterion resource allocation would now change, and we would all share equally in terms of money available. So in came the National Curriculum Statement, the NCS, and its job was to change the narrow, out-of-date, Eurocentric apartheid school curriculum, which focused little on South Africa and Africa, and change it into a revised curriculum, which focuses on decolonization, so that we are not speaking about a Eurocentric type of curriculum, but one that is focusing on our needs in South Africa and Africa. That there would also be a focus on knowledge and how it was structured and how it can be gained. That would focus on skills so that our students would be ready for a 21st century world with globalization. And all of this was internationally benchmarked so that our students could actually participate in a global and democratic society and internationally. We didn't want our students to be left behind. They had to be able to participate in a new and digital world. So they had to do a few things to change the curriculum. So firstly, they had to change the names of some subjects to be online with international trends. And so biology, I'm sure you all know, became life sciences. Home economics changed to computer studies. Typing and computyping changed to computer application technology. I'm sure all of you have been through the schooling system, and so you would know of these changes. They wanted to increase the cognitive demand, so it wasn't just remembering and understanding certain subjects, but it would challenge knowledge formation, and so physical science, history, and geography were now included as core curricula. This kind of course and curriculum requires learners to read and write extensively. Communication becomes vital and literacy becomes vital. That they should have a strong conceptual knowledge of whatever discipline they are in. They should understand the knowledge within those areas. And they could apply this knowledge to various situations. So it's not just remembering, rote memorization, but it's the ability to apply this knowledge. That they could think critically, challenge, change, assess, analyze, classify. All of these skills are so important today. And then ethical issues as well are so important, the values in life. So to be aware that there are social, moral, economic, and ethical issues. And in this world today, we really need to be more ethical and more have values that are to improve our lives and not to bring our lives down. So the TEHFS rationale is that these challenges should be implemented in the new NCS, and these would include an idea of to help the overburdened and administrative burdens that our teachers are experiencing, to help them with the confusion on what to teach and how to assess it, because there was not clarity on this. And then also to stop learner underperformance in international and local assessments. If you think about the polls reading, South Africa has performed very poorly in maths and English year after year after year, and we want to stop these trends. So a task team was appointed by the Minister in July 2009. And there we have the TEHFS documents. So the TEHFS teams went out and they went to try and identify challenges and pressure points that were being experienced in the implementation of grades R to 12. They want to see how these challenges could be addressed and have practical interventions for these challenges as well. So the key areas they investigated was curriculum policy and the guideline documents for teachers, especially the transition between grades and phases from grade 1 to grade 2, or from intermediate to senior phase, from senior phase to FET phase. What are the transitions like? Looking at assessment, especially school-based assessment, where there was no standardization, what was happening here. And then looking at our textbooks, our learning, teaching, support materials, having equal access to all these textbooks. And then especially teacher support and training so they could implement this new curriculum that was so important. So there were about 5 or 6 key findings and the recommendations they made after going into the schools and looking at the challenges that were being experienced. The first finding was that there were too many policies. You can imagine from a fragmented education system, everyone had their own policy, and often there'd be repetitions and discrepancies. How were the poor teachers to follow this? This also complicated the planning, and the administrative burdens on teachers was great, whereas there was very little at improving teaching and learner attainment. So the recommendation was that there be one curriculum assessment policy statement, CAPS as it is now known, for every subject by phase. And this would streamline and clarify the policies for teachers. This would also, or should, reduce teachers' workload, especially the administrative requirements and their planning, and give them more time to be in the classroom. Hopefully, I don't think this is happening. And to make the sequencing, pacing, and planning easier for teachers with this document. So these were all very good findings, and the recommendations were great. Another set of findings was that current teacher policies were too generic. I mean, you'd have the same policy for geography, for science, for maths. So this would be too generic and too superficial. There was no teacher support with one size fits all. From teaching maths, I'm also teaching English. I have the same policy. How's it going to assist me? And so many new teachers who were trained were not competent to teach this curriculum. So the recommendation was training to support the teachers, which was now content specific or subject specific, not just a generic one. And that all support staff would now undergo training so they could implement CAPS. Another set of findings was, especially in the general education and training phase, a new policy assessment was never developed by the NSCS. And this confused the teachers about several aspects of assessment. They never had their own document. So the recommendation, which was good, was to simplify and streamline all assessment requirements and make the GET phase and the FET phases more consistent in the way they are assessed. Also conducting regular national systemic assessment at grades 3 and 6, not local or informal, but national assessments. And then replace all the CTAs or common tasks for assessment with ANAs for maths, science, languages, and English. More findings were that there were too many subjects in the intermediate phase, where there was a shift from 3 learning assessments in grade 3 to 9 in grade 4, which is a big jump. What about English? It was supposed to be introduced in grade 1 as a subject, but was only being taught in grade 3. So the recommendation was to reduce the number of learning assessments to 6, including 2 subjects in grade 4, and then definitely introduce English as an additional language in grade 1. So where are we in the implementation plan? So in 2011, the system was being prepared for CAPS introduction. 2012, it was grades R to 3 and grade 10. 2013 was grades 4 to 9 and grades 11. And finally, in 2014 was grade 12. So we are now 6 years beyond that. So it's been grade R to grade 12 for the last 6 years. So CAPS should be well entrenched in schools by this time. Well, how has it progressed? There is one curriculum assessment policy for every subject from grade R to 12. So that is there, and we're very glad about that. There is sequencing, pacing, content, and assessment per subject within the policy, which is wonderful for teachers. And teachers are now being supported with 40 hours of training for curriculum implementation a year from now on. But there are still challenges in the implementation. So despite these interventions, some challenges are still persistent within the schooling system. There's still content overload and curriculum coverage. The teachers are still battling to get through everything they need to teach. There's still queries about the quality of the formal assessment tasks that are being conducted in the schools. There's little understanding of what cognitive levels really means. I think we've got to go back to Bloom's taxonomy to actually understand this. And it's not just about understanding and remembering with rote learning and content knowledge. It's also about application, analysis, synthesis, classification of information and how it is used in schools. It's not just rote learning that we need to focus on, but applying knowledge. The different types of assessment forms need to be looked at. Is there weighting? The weighting of assessments must consider time and mark allocations as part of the weightings. And the TEHFS document needs to accommodate more and provide more concessions in terms of different details. Interestingly, teachers need to teach for mastery and not for assessment. I think often we are reduced to looking at what the final assessment is and only teaching that and not mastery of the content. And another bigger challenge is the reading levels of learners are not grade appropriate. I know there are students in grade 8 and 9 that still cannot read or write, and you wonder how they can get through a whole schooling system without being able to do this. Here's an example of one of the successes in looking at the number of assessments in grades 1, 2, and 3. And as you can see in grade 1, in the foundation phase, the formal assessments are 22 in grade 1, which is a lot of assessments. Grade 2, 24, and grade 3, 29. Far too many. And so the suggested change is to bring it all down to 16. So in grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3, to have 16 formal assessments. So that is a reduction across the board. How are they going to deal with assessment overload? The teachers are killing themselves with assessments and the requirements in terms of the TEHFS document. So in the years ahead, 2020 to 2030, the long-term plan is as follows. That history will now become a compulsory subject at school. When you transition to grade 4, you'll have subject specialization in grade 3 already. TEHFS will include now 2 more subjects, chemistry and physics. Obviously, decolonization of language with the promotion of indigenous knowledge systems and practices is very important in places like South Africa. And then also teaching in the mother tongue from the intermediate phase to ensure proficiency levels of our students are increased. I think the need to research curriculum design development, the research into that must continue, as well as a multi-grade core curriculum. So not just for one grade, but many grades. And then, interestingly, to review the school calendar days and compulsory teaching time. I think a lot of teaching time is being lost when planning goes wrong, teachers are not in the classroom, holidays, and so on. So this brings us to our task at long last. This is on Moodle, the Moodle site, the ECI Moodle site. You'll see it as activity 1. You will need the TEHFS document, and as I said, you should have the clean text, there it is, to help you with chapter 1. So I really suggest that to help you complete activity 1 task. Just a general overview, this is also in the activity, I have added it there. Just to give you an overview of what the TEHFS document structure looks like. There are 4 sections. First of all, there's an lovely introductory section, first part, which tells you all about the NCS from grades R to 12, aims, time allocations per subject, and so on. Secondly, they've got an overview of subject section. The aims of the subject, an overview of the content that you should be teaching, which is quite helpful for teachers. And then there's specific information about content selection. Also, again, looking at learning activities. So teachers are really assisted to given ideas on what they can do to study these different areas, the time they should spend on it, and resources they should use. So I think teachers are already being helped to plan more efficiently with the use of this TEHFS document. And finally, there's an assessment section telling you about all the assessment types. There was a concern that we needed more assessment types, and yeah, they are providing that in the document. There needs to be formal as well as informal assessment guidelines, and these are provided. The recording and reporting requirements are there as well for the teachers, as well as the moderation requirements. So the document is pretty comprehensive and should help all teachers in their planning and to make everything more clear, more transparent, so they can become better teachers. So I'm leaving it up to you now. This is your TEHFS introduction, giving you a bit of an overview of the document, but now it's up to you to get into the document and look at home language for your specific grades, if it's FET or senior phase, and the additional language, English first additional language, either FET or senior or both. So look at your specific grades and answer the questions that are there. And don't forget to refer to Colleen to help you with that as well. There it is. I'm trying to get the camera. So it's goodbye for me. Next week, it's going to be a face-to-face. Isn't that going to be nice? We're going to be Zooming. And so I'll be able to chat to you and see you. So it won't just be me speaking to the camera, but I'll be able to talk to you as well. So looking forward to that. I will be watching out for you, as I said to you before, on my Moodle site, because I can see you working on there. So attempt the introduction little task that's there to see how well you listen to the introduction. It's a Kahoot. I can see that you've done that. There was a little request that you complete the cloud on the Mentimeter to tell me how you're feeling. And that was all in my introduction video. In the teaching methodology, there's a little task that I asked you to do on mind mapping. Your strengths and challenges of reading. So go and check my teaching methodology lecture as well. It's there for you. And then finally, here's your activity 1, which is also on the ECI Moodle site for you to complete. So good luck, enjoy, and get hold of me on email if there's any queries. So bye for now. I'll see you next week in person again, digitally, but I'll be able to see you and talk to you. So bye. Have a lovely evening.